Chapter 1, The Quiet Corner. My name's Maggie, 27, and I run a used bookstore in Asheville, North Carolina. It's 2008, and the world feels like it's holding its breath, economy's tanking, people are scared, but here, in this little shop off Patton Avenue, life moves slow. The store's called Second Stories, a name I picked because it sounds hopeful, like every book gets another chance. It's a narrow space, brick walls, creaky wooden floors, shelves stuffed with paperbacks and old hardcovers that smell like dust and time. There's a coffee pot in the back, a couple of mismatched armchairs, and a window that catches the morning light just right. That I've been here 2 years, scraping by on book sales and the occasional poetry reading I host on Thursdays. I live alone above the shop, in a one-bedroom apartment with a leaky faucet and a view of the Blue Ridge Mountains. My days are quiet: open the store at 10, sort donations, ring up customers, close at 7. Most folks who come in are regulars, retirees, college kids, a few drifters passing through. I like the rhythm. It's predictable, which I need after my mom passed last year. Breast cancer, fast and brutal. Left me untethered, like I'm floating through my own life. Last Monday, around noon, I was shelving a box of donated mysteries when the bell above the door jingled. A guy walked in, mid-30s, tall, with dark hair and a leather jacket that looked too warm for June. He nodded at me, didn't smile, and started browsing the fiction section. I didn't think much of it. Customers come and go. But he stayed longer than most, pulling books off the shelves, flipping through them, putting them back. I caught him glancing my way once or twice, his eyes sharp, like he was sizing me up. I ignored it, went back to my work. Just another day. Chapter 2, The First Exchange. Tuesday, he came back. Same jacket, same quiet intensity. I was at the counter, pricing a stack of old sci-fi novels, when he walked up with a worn copy of The Catcher in the Rye. "This any good?" he asked, voice low, almost testing me. "It's a classic," I said, scanning the book. Salinger's got a way of making you feel like you're stuck in someone's head. Some love it, some don't. He nodded, like he was weighing my answer. "I'll take it. Name's Daniel, by the way." "Maggie," I said, ringing him up. "That'll be $3. He handed me exact change, his fingers brushing mine for half a second. I didn't flinch, but I noticed it, the warmth of his hand, the way he didn't pull away too fast. He left without another word, the bell jingling behind him. I shook it off, told myself it was nothing. But when I locked up that night, I found myself wondering if he'd come back. Wednesday, he did. This time, he brought a coffee, set it on the counter like it was for me. "Thought you might need this," he said, no smile, just those eyes again, steady and unreadable. I hesitated, then took it. Black, no sugar, exactly how I like it. I didn't ask how he knew. I just said thanks and went back to sorting books, feeling his presence like a low hum in the room. Chapter 3, The Pull. By Friday, Daniel was a regular. He'd come in around noon, browse for an hour, buy something cheap, a poetry collection, a dog-eared Stephen King. We'd talk a little each time, nothing heavy. He was a photographer, he said, freelance, moved to Asheville a month ago for a fresh start. Didn't say from where. I didn't ask. I told him about the store, how I inherited it from my mom, how I used to read under the counter as a kid while she worked. He listened, really listened, leaning against the shelf, his jacket creaking softly. There was something about him. Not just the way he looked, though he wasn't hard on the eyes, with that sharp jaw and faint stubble. It was how he carried himself, like he was holding something back, something heavy. I caught myself watching him when he wasn't looking, noticing the way his hands moved over the books, deliberate, careful. Once, when he reached for a high shelf, his shirt lifted, showing a scar across his side, jagged and old. I didn't ask about it, but it stuck with me, like a story I wasn't supposed to know. That afternoon, he stayed until closing. I was sweeping the floor, the sun slanting through the window, dusting everything gold. "You ever get lonely here?" he asked, out of nowhere, leaning against the counter. I stopped sweeping, looked at him. Sometimes. You. He shrugged, his eyes on the floor. More than I'd like to admit. The air felt different after that, heavier, like we'd said something we couldn't take back. Chapter 4, The Invitation. The next week, Daniel showed up with a camera, an old Nikon, the kind my dad used to have. Mind if I take some shots? He asked. This place has character. Go for it, I said, curious. He moved through the store, snapping photos of the shelves, the armchairs, the light hitting the dust motes. He took a few of me, too, when I wasn't paying attention, behind the counter, sorting books, my hair falling in my face. I pretended not to notice, but my cheeks got warm. After, he sat in one of the armchairs, scrolling through the shots on his camera. You want to see? He asked. I sat next to him, closer than I meant to, our knees almost touching. The photos were good, better than good. He'd caught the store's soul, the way the lights softened the edges of everything. The ones of me felt personal, like he saw something I didn't. You're good at this, I said, handing the camera back. Thanks. He looked at me, longer than usual, then said, I'm grabbing dinner tonight at this place on Biltmore Avenue. Nothing fancy. You should come. I hesitated. I didn't date much, hadn't since a bad breakup 2 years ago. But there was something about Daniel, something that made me want to say yes. Okay, I said finally. What time? 7, he said, standing. See you then. Chapter 5, The dinner. That night, I met him at a small diner, all chrome and neon, the kind of place that still served milkshakes in metal cups. I wore a green dress, one I hadn't touched in months, and felt a little out of place, like I was trying too hard. Daniel was already there, in a booth, jacket off, sleeves rolled up. He smiled when he saw me, a real smile, not the guarded one I was used to. We ordered burgers, talked about Asheville, how it was changing with new breweries and tourists. He opened up a bit, said he'd been in Chicago before, working for a magazine that folded when the economy crashed. Didn't mention family, didn't mention why he left. I told him about my mom, how the store was her dream, how I kept it going to feel close to her. He listened, his eyes steady, like he was taking in every word. You ever think about leaving? He asked, sipping his coffee. Starting over somewhere else? Sometimes, I said. But this place, it's home. Even when it's hard. He nodded, like he got it. Home's tricky. Sometimes it's not a place. Sometimes it's a person. His words hung there, and I felt my pulse quicken. I didn't know what to say, so I just looked at him, and for a moment, it was just us, the diner fading away. Chapter 6, The Spark. Over the next few weeks, Daniel and I fell into a rhythm. He'd come by the store most days, sometimes with coffee, sometimes with his camera. We'd talk, laugh, share quiet moments that felt more intimate than they should. One evening, after closing, he helped me shelve a new batch of donations. We were in the back, surrounded by boxes, the air thick with dust. Our hands brushed as we reached for the same book, and neither of us pulled away. Maggie, he said, his voice low, what are we doing here? I looked at him, my heart pounding. I don't know, I said honestly. But I don't want it to stop. He stepped closer, close enough that I could smell his cologne, faint and woody. Me neither, he said, and then he kissed me. It wasn't rushed or desperate, just soft, like we'd been heading toward it all along. When we pulled back, his hand lingered on my cheek, and I felt something shift, something I couldn't name. That we didn't talk about it after. Just went back to shelving books, but the air was different, charged, like the moment before a storm. Chapter 7, The Complication. Daniel wasn't just a drifter, I learned. He had a past, one he didn't talk about easily. A week after our kiss, he came by the store looking shaken, his usual calm gone. Can we talk? He asked, glancing at the door like he expected someone to walk in. We sat in the back, and he told me about Chicago, not the magazine job, but the real reason he left. His brother, Alex, older by 2 years, had been in trouble, drugs, bad debts, the kind of mess that pulls everyone down with it. Daniel had tried to help, bailed him out, lost everything in the process. He's here now, Daniel said, voice tight. Showed up last night. Wants money, wants me to fix things again. I didn't know what to say. Are you okay? I asked finally that he shook his head. I don't know. I thought I could leave it behind, but it follows you. I reached for his hand, and he let me hold it, his fingers gripping mine like I was an anchor. You don't have to do it alone, I said. That he looked at me, his eyes raw. You don't know what you're signing up for, Maggie. Maybe not, I said. But I'm here. Chapter 8, the way Alex started showing up at the store. He was taller than Daniel, leaner, with a restless energy that set my teeth on edge. He'd browse the shelves, pick up books without reading them, watch me when he thought I wasn't looking. Daniel was different around him, tighter, quieter, like he was bracing for something. I didn't like it, but I didn't push. I'd learned by now that Daniel opened up on his own time. One night, after closing, Alex followed Daniel to the store. They argued outside, voices low but sharp, words I couldn't make out. I stayed inside, pretending to organize the counter, but I heard enough to know it was bad, something about money, a debt collector, a deadline. When Alex left, Daniel came in, his face pale, his hands shaking. He's in deep, he said, sitting heavily in an armchair. Owes people I can't even name. They're coming for him, and he thinks I can fix it. I sat across from him, the store dark except for a single lamp. Can you? He laughed, bitter. I've got nothing left to give, Maggie. I came here to start over, not to clean up his mess again. I didn't know how to help, but I knew I couldn't walk away. Stay here tonight, I said. Upstairs. Just, don't go back to him yet. He looked at me, surprised, then nodded. That night, he slept on my couch, and I lay awake, listening to the creak of the floorboards, wondering what I'd gotten myself into. Chapter 9, the breaking point. The next week was tense. Alex kept coming around, his visits more frequent, his demeanor more desperate. Daniel stopped bringing his camera, stopped smiling as much. I tried to keep things normal, coffee in the morning, talks about books, but the weight of his brother's presence hung over us. One evening, I found a note slipped under the store's door, tell him to pay up, or it's not just him. No signature, just block letters, smudged ink. That I showed it to Daniel, and he cursed under his breath. I'm sorry, Maggie, he said. You shouldn't be in this. I'm in it because I want to be, I said, sharper than I meant. But you need to tell me what's going on. He told me everything then, how Alex had borrowed from the wrong people, how they'd trashed his apartment in Chicago, how Daniel had paid what he could until he had nothing left. I thought I could outrun it, he said. But they found him. Found us. I felt a chill, not just from the story but from the way he said, us. I was part of this now, whether I liked it or not. What do we do? I asked. I don't know, he said, his voice breaking. I don't know. That night, we kissed again, harder this time, like we were trying to hold on to something before it slipped away. I didn't care about the danger, not then. I just wanted him to stay. Chapter 10, the choice. It's been a month since the note. Daniel moved in upstairs, not because we planned it but because it wasn't safe for him to go back to his place. Alex disappeared one night, left a voicemail saying he was sorry, that he'd figure it out. Daniel didn't believe him, but he stopped looking for him. I can't save him anymore, he said, and I heard the finality in it. The store's quieter now, fewer customers with the economy getting worse. But Daniel's here most days, helping with deliveries, fixing shelves, taking photos when the mood strikes him. We don't talk about Alex, or the note, or what might happen if those people come back. We just keep going, day by day, building something real in the middle of the mess. Last night, we sat on the apartment's tiny balcony, sharing a beer, the mountains dark against the sky. You ever think about running? I asked, half joking. Every day, he said, his hand finding mine. But then I think about you, and I stay. I leaned against him, feeling the warmth of his shoulder, the weight of everything we'd been through. It started with a book, a $3 sale, a guy in a leather jacket who didn't belong. But now, here we are, tangled up in each other's lives, carrying secrets and scars we don't always name. It's not perfect, not safe, not certain. But it's ours, and for now, that's enough. Conclusion: the pages we keep. It's 2011 now, 3 years since Daniel walked into Second Stories with that worn copy of The Catcher in the Rye. I'm 30, still running the bookstore in Asheville, though the shelves are a little barer these days, the economy's still kicking us while we're down. The apartment above the shop is home now, not just mine but ours. Daniel's been here since that night he couldn't go back to his place, and we've made it work, piece by piece. The Blue Ridge Mountains still loom outside the window, steady as ever, but the view feels different now, softer, like it's part of us. The coffee pot's still here, same creaky floors, same armchairs with their frayed cushions. But there's a new photo on the wall, one Daniel took last summer, me behind the counter, laughing, a strand of hair in my eyes. He says it's his favorite. Life settled into a rhythm, but it's not the kind I expected. Daniel's still photographing, picking up freelance gigs when he can, mostly for local papers or small galleries. I keep the store running, host poetry readings when I have the energy, and try not to worry about the bills stacking up. We're not rich, far from it, but we're together, and that's something. The threat of Alex's past still lingers, a shadow we don't talk about much, but it's there, like a crack in the wall you keep meaning to fix. Sitting here now, in the quiet of the shop after closing, I think about how we got here, how a $3 book sale turned into a life I never planned but can't imagine leaving. The everyday wait. The past 3 years haven't been easy. Daniel's brother, Alex, hasn't come back, not since that voicemail promising to figure it out. Daniel checks his phone sometimes, like he's waiting for another call, but it never comes. I see the guilt in him, the way his shoulders tense when someone mentions Chicago, the way he changes the subject when I ask about his family. I don't push. I've learned he opens up when he's ready, usually late at night, when we're on the balcony with a beer, the crickets loud enough to drown out the world. The store's been a struggle. People aren't buying books like they used to, e-readers are creeping in, and the recession's hit Asheville hard. I've had to cut back on stock, focus on cheaper paperbacks, even started selling coffee by the cup to keep customers coming. Daniel's been a lifeline, not just with rent but with the little things, fixing a wobbly shelf, hauling boxes, charming the regulars with his quiet smile. He's good with them, better than me sometimes, knowing just what to say to make an old lady buy a romance novel or a kid pick up a comic. That we've had our fights, though. Money's the worst of it, when the power bill's late, or when I catch him slipping cash from his gigs into the store's register without telling me. "It's ours, Maggie," he'll say, voice tight, when I call him out. "We're in this together." I know he's right, but it stings, like I'm failing my mom's dream. Other fights are smaller, dishes in the sink, me staying up too late sorting inventory, him forgetting to lock the shop door. But we talk it out, usually over coffee, sitting in the armchairs after closing. He's better at apologies, but I'm learning to meet him halfway. The hardest part is the quiet moments, when I catch him staring out the window, his face unreadable. I know he's thinking about Alex, about what he left behind. I want to fix it, to make it okay, but I can't. All I can do is be here, hold his hand, let him know he's not alone. That's what he does for me, too. When I miss my mom so much it feels like a hole in my chest. We don't fix each other's pain. We just carry it together. The store's heart. Second Stories is more than a shop now, it's our life. The regulars know Daniel, call him by name, ask about his photos. There's Ellen, a retired teacher who buys mysteries and brings us homemade cookies, Jake, a college kid who reads Kerouac and argues about poetry, and Sarah, a single mom who comes for the kids' books and stays for the coffee. They're not just customers anymore, they're part of this place, part of us. Daniel started a small display for his photos near the counter, black and white shots of Asheville streets, the mountains, me. People stopped to look, sometimes by one. It's not much, but it's something. Last year, we almost lost the store. The landlord raised the rent, and I couldn't keep up. I didn't tell Daniel at first, didn't want to worry him, but he found the eviction notice taped to the door. "Why didn't you say anything?" he asked, his voice sharp but soft, like he was more hurt than angry. "I thought I could handle it," I said, staring at the floor. "It's my mom's place. My responsibility. It's ours, Maggie," he said, and that was that. He took half his savings, money he'd been holding onto for a new camera, and paid the back rent. I cried that night, not because we were safe, but because I didn't know how to carry someone else's sacrifice. He just held me, said we'd figure it out. And we did. I started hosting more events, open mics, book clubs, even a photography workshop with Daniel. It's not enough to get rich, but it's enough to keep the lights on. The stores changed me, too. I used to think I was just keeping it going for my mom, like I was stuck in her shadow. But now, with Daniel here, it feels like mine. I see it in the way he laughs with Jake over a bad pun, or how he rearranges the shelves when he thinks I'm not looking, trying to make the place feel alive. It's ours, this little corner of Asheville, and I'm starting to believe it's worth fighting for. The moments that stay. Last month, we took a trip to the mountains, just the two of us. Packed a bag, drove up to the Blue Ridge Parkway, found a trail that wound through pines and wildflowers. Daniel brought his camera, took shots of the view, the light filtering through the trees. I caught him taking one of me, sitting on a rock, looking out at the valley. "Stop it," I said, laughing, but he just grinned. "You're my best subject," he said, and I felt my cheeks warm. Later, by a stream, he pulled me close, kissed me like no one was watching. It wasn't about passion, not really, just us, in that moment, with the water rushing and the air cool on our skin. I think about that day a lot, how it felt like we'd found something permanent, even if the world wasn't. Back in Asheville, life keeps moving. The store's holding on, thanks to a grant I got from a local arts council. Daniel's got a show coming up, his first in a small gallery downtown. He's nervous, keeps tweaking the prints, but I know it'll be good. I've seen his work, the way he captures things, people, places, moments that feel like they'll slip away if you don't hold tight. Sophie, my best friend from high school, came by last week. She's married now, lives in Raleigh, but she was in town for a weekend. She met Daniel, saw us together, and later, when he was out getting coffee, she grabbed my hand. "You're different, Maggie," she said. "Happier. He's good for you." I nodded, feeling a lump in my throat. He is. The unspoken fears. There's still a weight we carry, Daniel and me. Not just Alex, though that's part of it. It's the uncertainty, money, the store, the world outside our little corner. The economy's still shaky, and I hear whispers about bookstores closing, chains going under. I worry about losing second stories, not just for me but for what it means to us. Daniel worries too, though he doesn't say it. I see it in the way he counts receipts twice, the way he stays up late looking for gigs, and then there's us. I love him, more than I thought I could love anyone. But love's not a shield. I think about my mom, how she loved my dad until he left, how she kept going anyway. I wonder if I'm strong like her, if I could do it alone again. Daniel's never given me a reason to doubt him, but the fear's there, quiet, like a book on the shelf you don't open but can't ignore. He feels it too, I think. Last night, we were in bed, the apartment dark except for the streetlight sneaking through the blinds. "You ever think about what happens if this doesn't work?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. I turned to him, saw the outline of his face. "Every day," I said. "But then I think about you, and I keep going." He pulled me close, his breath warm against my neck. "Good," he said. "Because I'm not going anywhere."